Welcome, everyone. I'm the Binbuster. I'm joined here by Kal Daly.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Ben. The Super Sons are back.
You're welcome, and this is Rewind.
Gary Young was looking for his long-lost friend,
I told him I'd pick him up out here.
Kevin Franklin.
Where's it go? I want $50,000 tomorrow, or you're dead.
Was looking to get lost.
Excuse me. What does he look like, Dad?
I don't really know. I haven't seen him in 25 years.
And thanks to a case of mistaken identity,
Hey, Garrett, that's right. It's me. It's you.
they're about to become as close as two friends can be.
Give me the keys. That's it. That's him.
You have changed.
Now,
I'm home. I'm staying with some family. They think I'm a dentist.
he may not speak French,
Bonjour, bonjour.
Michel, my belle. Illuminado.
he may not play golf,
I look like Fat Albert.
Come on, let me wash your balls for you.
Not as long as I have the stick, you won't.
Go! This man needs a dentist. Would it be possible for us to see Dr. Bond perform the procedure?
You might want to just get washed up. Nurse, would you go get some more topical anesthetic?
No. No. But as long as no one catches on. Kevin's having the time of Derek's life.
He's a nice guy.
He's the genuine article.
Caravan Pictures presents
You told me he was a stuffed shirt conservative.
Oh, not since the accident.
Two great white sharks came out of nowhere. Bam!
There's a lot you should know about Derek.
And his eye was on me. His eye was on me.
Sinbad,
If I was under your hair, I would pull this out. I would go to the natural color. But that's you, baby.
Phil Hartman,
I often fantasize about being Matlock.
in the story of a man who found his place in the world
I'm turning to Mary Poppins out here.
by taking somebody else's.
I was cold.
I want you to look at my wife. What do you think?
Yeah, you're a lucky man.
Oh, so does that mean you can do something for her?
Whoa! Houseguest.
Oh.
As this movie opens up, ladies and gentlemen, we're introduced to an orphan named Kevin Franklin, who's grown up as becoming Sinbad in this movie. But he's in an orphanage, and all he wants to do is get rich. He talks about how he's holding his buddy underwater in a wishing well, trying to get out the money, the coins from it. And the nun really just scolds him and everything, tells him some stupid thing about Poseidon being an orphan. 24 years and 4 months later, as it comes upon the screen, Kevin Franklin is an adult. He doesn't have a more Porsche, and he doesn't have the millions he wanted. He drives a wreck of a car.
Yeah, I like the car though.
I do too, and it's hilarity. Like when the wheel starts shaking left and right as he's driving it, and how it
Yeah,
always backfires on him. It's
I've had that
hilarious.
problem. It's called a wheel hub. Your wheel gets
Yeah,
ready to just break off. Yeah, that. Yeah. If you
exactly.
ever had that
Well, but
problem,
what
folks, you know what that is when you see it.
exactly? But why is it that in movies like this, that always the car is always one of the best parts of the comedy in the movie? Think of Tommy
Well,
Boy and their car, and think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with their car.
it's funny you bring that up, Ben. Until you told me that, I really never thought of that. Yeah, a lot of great moments take place in cars, and
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's some movie magic. That's a kept secret. Maybe that's it. I never put that together. But I will say this: the intro to this movie, him in his car, him driving through town, for me, is a very warm welcome in it, a nostalgic feeling because I know all the places he's driving through, and every single shot I know those towns, I know those streets, and there's actually buildings when he pulls up to in the beginning of the movie. He pulls up to the basketball court where behind him is a high rise that isn't there anymore in that state, which is in Pittsburgh, as you should know. So that high rise isn't there. They knocked that high rise down a few years ago and built a Target. Figures, right? But yeah, so seeing all that was just like memory lane. Like, wow, I grew up around those places. So seeing that, I never knew that this movie took place in Pittsburgh. So it was a nice addition to watching.
it it's always nice to know those locations when you're watching a movie. You're like, hey, I've been there, or I know exactly where that is. That's always a nice thing
Right.
to know.
You ever find it a little slightly
But
annoying
but
because you pay more
yeah,
attention
a
to the
little.
locations? You'd be like, wait a minute. They're going up that street to get there. That's not how that goes in real.
It
You're like, that's not it.
is especially when a movie's based in Chicago, because
Right.
that's where I'm from, and I'm like going,
Hmm.
wait a second, like Batman be like Batman Begins. I go, I know exactly where that building is. It doesn't look like that,
Right. Right. Like in
or it's
Philadelphia, they'll
not
be
that
driving up some
tall.
hills to
So
get
yeah,
to the jail, and but the
yeah,
jail is not that way.
hmm
So, but I guess the audience doesn't. But it's just
exactly,
it's mind bending.
exactly, exactly. And Kevin, when we get to Kevin Franklin's apartment, it's your typical poorish, uh, low income apartment where it's like concrete walls, a refrigerator that almost looking like it's on its last legs, and a TV that looks like it's going to fall apart at any moment. But Cal, the honest thing is about him, he's an honest man. He's looking to make big bucks. And how does he do this? With baseball cards. Have you ever thought of having a get rich quick scheme out there?
Well, from the movie, it seems like he had more than one. That was just his latest endeavor into
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah. That was his latest endeavor. But I mean, in concept, it would work.
it would.
You're hoping
I
to
was
get all
thinking the
those
whole
rookie
time, like,
cards.
I would like those 94 cards. He named all like the
Yeah, yeah,
some of the best players of the last few generations. He named them. So it was just that was cool to see. I was like,
exactly.
huh.
And he's hoping that
So that,
they. And he was hoping for a rookie card, and hopefully they got injured, so that way those cards would be worth money.
which is terrible, and he acknowledges, like, yeah, I mean, you know,
Exactly.
going to throw the fight. He's in a lot of movies, man. I'm not quite sure. He might have been the Tin Man in the Wiz. I'm not too sure if that was him, but it was nice to see. You don't see that actor no more. I'm sorry, guys. His name is escaping me, but yeah, that was cool to see him. It
Yeah.
was like because you're watching a movie in the early '90s, mid '90s, so it's a blast from the past all at the same time. While I said you're seeing all these places that aren't even existing anymore, but you're also seeing a lot of these actors. You're like, oh, where'd they go to?
After this, it's Sinbad, Phil Hartman, and the kid who played Squints on Sandlot. Like the kid who went on to play Squints went on Sandlot. Sinbad had a couple other movies. Phil Hartman did a couple other movies, but it's like, and of course Phil Hartman died tragically,
Unfortunately,
but
yeah.
Sinbad just like this was like at the height of his career, and he just disappeared.
Yeah, he had a couple movies. I think what First
He
Kid and something else,
yeah,
but
first kid
yeah, for as big as Sinbad is, and he's pretty still
guest
well
starring
known.
roles on TV shows. Yeah,
Yeah, he had a
yeah,
talk show, The Vibe. So it's just for him
yeah,
to disappear I didn't never understood why that happened, but nevertheless, yeah,
exactly. And then here comes in probably two of the best elements of this movie:
for sure.
the mobsters, the brothers.
Capiche,
The brothers are the mobsters.
for sure.
They come for him. He owes them $5,000, but because of interest, it's
It's 50.
50K now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 50. And
no questions
and
asked.
remember,
Maybe he should have asked a couple
no
questions.
question asked. Yes, but he should have asked all the questions. But remember, Cal, happy isn't happy, and we want happy, happy.
Right, right, right.
If you guys don't know that reference, Happy is is the mob boss. So
Yes,
that's why they do use that play on the words.
who's
He tries
never
to skip
happy.
town. Yeah, they tell him not to
Hmm.
skip town, and what does he do? He skips town.
Right.
And and the two guys come after him. He's at an airport with him. He uses, hey, look, it's Denzel Washington, and people just start panicking and running towards where Denzel is to try and
Right.
separate him from them. And then he uses
Hmm.
his hamster and says, "Rat or mouse, mouse." He screams mouse or rat, whatever one it is, and everyone just starts freaking out. And he tries to get away. It really
Right.
doesn't work much.
This scene is so ridiculous in a good way though, because while the charm of it, they don't make movies like this anymore. But at the same time, it's so ridiculous. Just how it all plays out, like how this could this really happen? But that's the charm, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like Home Alone and how they had the how they ran through the entire airport. You don't see anyone run like that in the airport anymore.
Yeah, really. But this right, this in
Yeah,
particularly, could you actually?
yeah,
All right, I mean, I don't want to be
exactly.
premature, but basically, this results in him finding this guy, and this guy doesn't know what his best friend looks like.
He
Like,
has
really?
well, he hasn't seen him since he was a kid, so that's
But it's his
understandable.
best friend in the
Just
world,
a
though.
little bit.
I thought that was hilarious.
Exactly, exactly. Phil, did we? Speaking of which, we meet Phil Hartman's character shortly during this scene. Gary Young is his name. That's like one of the most upscale white names ever. Gary Young.
Is it? I didn't look at it that way.
No, no, but think of where he lives. You were thinking, okay. And then
Right.
Kevin pretends to be his friend from childhood. Where
Hmm.
walks around him and goes, okay, okay. Walks around him and he goes, oh, it's me, it's me. He's like, Derek, yeah, Derek. And then it's pretty much Kevin switching places instead of trying to run through the rest of the airport to get away from these guys. He ends up leaving with them, and then the real Derek pages for Gary, and he's like, "Oh, that was me. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." And so Sinbad goes back in. We meet the actual Derek Bond, and Sinbad gives him his hat, creates some cockamamie bullshit of
Right.
why of why Gary can't be there, and then all of a sudden he gives him his hat, and so the two mobsters are confused and chase after Derek Bond and pretty much trip him, say, "Oh, that isn't him," and they punch his eye, or they
So,
punch him in the
so
face.
in
So
this scene in particularly, I thought was funny because like they're still filling each other out in a way because he's like, what about the thing? Well, what do you mean the thing? He's like, I didn't want to do that thing anyway. So it
yeah,
makes
yeah,
Sinbad think like, oh, what did I got myself into? What thing do I have to do? And
exactly,
I thought that was
exactly.
pretty funny.
And the thing that he's talking about happens to be career day at the school where Gary's kids attend. But before that, we get a car chase scene,
Hmm.
crossing crossing lanes of traffic, driving over grass,
Right.
to the point where Gary's trying to get. This doesn't seem like Derek. Like we get the first thing as he goes, something isn't right here,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden Derek's like, he goes, "Oh, I've been this way ever since I was a kid because of an accident." Blah 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 blah. He makes up this accident, and and Phil Hartman's character buys it. He's like, "Okay,
Yeah, because he's acting a little erratic to be his friend. His friend is
yeah,
what they would call a stuffed shirt conservative, as they refer to him in the movie.
uh huh,
So for this
uh
guy
huh,
to be acting that way, he finds it a little, he's catching on like, is this really Derek? But but this chase scene just throws him all off. So he never holds that thought too much longer
no, he
afterwards.
doesn't.
You know what, Ben? For him to tell that cockamamie story, as you say, he took it really well. I mean, think about realistically, I just landed
He
in the
did.
airport from wherever I came from. I'd be pissed if you told me like you just turn around, go back home. Like what? Like I don't know. I don't know how they handled it
Exactly.
in those days, but I'd be pissed.
He didn't seem to be that pissed though. He just said, "Okay, I didn't want to do it
Yeah, that
anyways." Like,
right,
well, like, yeah, this is a guy you haven't seen in 20 some years, and like he could care less if he was there
right.
because it was
But he
Memorial
did
Day
come.
weekend, so I understand that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
did come. He did.
yeah. It just I don't know. It was just weird. I mean, he didn't feel no way about it. It was almost like he lived down the street. He's like, all right, I'll just go back home. Like, dude, he flew all the way there. Like, he took that real well.
Yeah, yeah, and we find out that Kevin almost blows his cover when he's at the school and he has to give a career day presentation. What we
Hmm.
don't realize is they don't really show you the slides very well in the movie, and then all of a sudden it's like you have to try and figure out what he's doing, or what he is
Right.
as a profession.
Yeah, he has no clue what he's doing up there.
He has no clue, and then Sinbad
Hmm.
just starts doing his stand-up shtick. It seems
Yeah,
like so.
right. And he does the classic. Well, won't you? they're like, people are suspecting he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then it's just, he's like,
Hmm.
well, you tell me, how you put somebody else on the spot. He just reversed everything,
Yeah,
put it back on
exactly.
them. And then under pressure, they just say, oh, no, you're all right. He does that the whole movie,
E- Exactly, he does, which is his way of getting out of things.
though. Right.
Yeah. Then Kevin finds out Gary and his family are very well off because Gary works for a big conglomerate that does advertising, and then
Hmm.
his wife has her own frozen yogurt
Yogurt.
business
Right.
business, and so he sees it. He goes, okay, I might play into this a little bit more just to see where this leads.
Yeah. Which,
Until
which
we see,
which is a dick
until we
move.
get,
Like, he knew better.
yeah,
It's like
he
your
knew
wife is
better.
building this company and you're doing really well. It's going really well, but your boss wants you to create a company where it's like you having a nice mom and pop stores. You got a few chains, and then
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
going to go help somebody open up a Walmart. Like, it's
exactly,
just
exactly.
it's like it was bad.
And the thing is, he hides it from his wife the whole time. Once he finds out
Right.
about it, so
Right.
it's like, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves there. He pretty much, there's a dinner party where goes when he's there, and this is one of the best scenes ever. I honestly think this is one of the better scenes in the movie. You can tell
Yeah.
Sinbad's just ad libbing the whole time with it.
Hmm.
He finds a he takes a bag from the airport because he doesn't have any bags. It's a suit in there, and the suit says GHF, and it's for a funeral home, or GFH, sorry, GFH, and it's for a funeral home, and he ends up wearing it. And here's the montage of him doing everything and what it actually means. So,
Oh, the Gaming Foundation of Harlem.
I've heard of that. It's a charitable organization, isn't it?
You said it.
Oh, yeah. He's a nice guy.
He's the genuine article.
What does that stand for?
My great-grandfather, General Francois Heimlich Maneuver, World War I and II.
Good guy.
What does it stand for?
Gemstones, furs, and haberdasheries. Graduated full honors. Oxford. I guess you would know about that.
I went to Harvard.
Yeah, right. Harvard Street. Oh, it's a gospel group I was with. Godliness, faithful, and honest.
Amen.
Geeks for Hire. It's a temporary service. You'd fit in. You ought to call us. Gas from humans. Girls from the hood. G-strings for the huge. Gotta feed the hungry. Girls feeding homies.
Is that a joke?
Godliness, faithful, and honest. Good, fine, and healthy. And baby, you it. Bam! You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The whole night he has to come up, which is crazy. This is, and see, this is, I guess this is comedy, but like, he didn't get one thing that these initials. Everybody's asking him what these initials stand for, and not one time did he stick with whatever he told them. It was like 20
yeah,
different things he said these initials stand for. When he said good,
exactly.
fine, and what did he say? Good, fine, woman. What did he say to the one lady? And she's just like, oh, she's so
Good
stuck up.
fine
She's like,
honeys.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Good fine honeys.
and you are
Yeah,
it.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is the best sequence in the whole movie. I think this
Oh
whole
yeah.
party is the best scene for me.
Oh, I agree there too. It had. I was laughing hysterically. For being a comedy, you would think it would have a little bit funnier parts, but we're about 30 minutes into the movie. About 20 minutes, sorry, 20 minutes into the movie, and this is like the first real hilarious
Hilarious.
spot, which
Yeah.
leads to them with the wine tasting and how he's
Hmm.
and that's just hilarious. It's more Sinbad
Yeah.
being Sinbad with ad libbing and his stick
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
everything. So
the wine stuff is hilarious, and how he turns that guy out once that guy gets the bug out of his ass, as David said. He's just
May I?
he's
Yes, you may.
hilarious.
Please. Thank you. I like my wine bright, rich, mature, developed, seductive, with nice legs and a prolonged finish.
Well, sounds like you need a woman. Some folks drink wine, some people date. Drink up. This is a party. Here you go. Matter of fact, why don't you drink it right out the bottle, man? That's the way. You want your party start right. Would you like some? Here you go. Out the bottle, man. You can do it. Go, 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 Now this is the party, people. Drink up.
Kevin leaves. He's running through the town,
Mhm.
and he sees a McDonald's. How awesome is it that in the 1990s they had product placement and blatant product placement in movies? Because he's running to McDonald's, and you're hearing the theme song at that time of McDonald's playing in the background as he's running.
Yeah, and like he's really like the run he does is just like really. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah, it was,
Baywatch-esque. Let's put it that way. It's Baywatch-esque.
yeah, it's just. But look, when he orders right, and then she's like, he orders all these Big Macs, all these quarter pounders, right, and then she just says $10, and I'm like,
But it's
I don't remember
double
McDonald's
cheese.
being that cheap. Wow.
Yeah,
Like he ordered like
yeah,
10 burgers, and she was like $10. I was like, whoa.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, it just made it
Well,
reminded me of the old days.
and then he ends up getting a large fry, a large drink, and a cheeseburger because that's all the money he has.
Right.
But
Which made no
it's funny
sense though,
because
because that was $4, but 10 burgers
yeah,
was only $10. But okay.
exactly, exactly. But well, and then you're thinking there, it's like, why wasn't there a crossover with this movie and McDonald's because of how much this scene plays or how much McDonald's is a backdrop or product placement in here? You would think that there would be at least toys or something,
Mhm.
cups or something, commemorative cups for this movie at McDonald's, but there wasn't.
Yeah, I guess it's not a superhero. It wasn't Batman. You know, they were all in on Batman in the
Yeah.
90s, so it probably was kind of
Or
hard.
some kids movie, yeah, or some kids movie,
Yeah, it
yeah.
probably. I mean, like, what do
Understandable.
you attach to this? You know, I mean, I could see McDonald's doing like ads with Sinbad in the commercials, but like far as like
Yeah.
toys, it'd be kind of
Scratch
hard.
offs. Kind of like think about their Monopoly cups. You could have almost done it like that, where it's a little scratch off piece because he's trying to win the lottery, try and get the big bucks in the lottery so he can pay off the mobsters or get rich.
Dude, I
So
wouldn't be surprised if there is a Sinbad commercial for McDonald's. Like, I didn't look into that, but I wouldn't be
yeah.
because if that movie came out today, there would have been a Super Bowl commercial with McDonald's and
Oh yeah.
Sinbad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if I came past one. Funny enough, though, Ben, in the beginning of the movie, the first few seconds of the movie, when he's driving this car as you're entering the movie, they show a humongous Wendy's sign. So you would think
Yeah.
Wendy's
Yeah.
would be uh where they
Exactly.
go with this, but it's McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah. And Wendy's usually had the product placements or the toys that of offshoot movies. So I'm shocked Wendy's didn't pick that up in here either
Hmm.
with that aspect. Well, and then Gary takes quote unquote Derek golfing. And I mean the little dance that they do when they're trying on the different clothes and he's trying to get
Yeah.
Gary to loosen up.
But
I
this is
think that just
actually
shows
where
you
I think Phil Hartman set into the movie, where his character
yeah,
got time to
yeah,
develop and you start taking more of a. I mean, Phil Hartman's
exactly.
pretty likable and everything. He's pretty good in everything he is and what few things he is in his career. But
Yeah.
I think from that moment on, he became more of a character you can latch onto.
Yeah, he went from a straight man for Sinbad to someone who could easily carry this movie as well. So they goof
Yeah.
off a little, and we meet Gary's boss, who's a little racist for the '90s, like just a little bit.
Boy.
Boy, calling him
Well,
calling
uh,
Kevin
what's
Boy.
going on?
Yeah,
What else did he say? And he said, "Let me slap you five, my man." Well, can I slap you?
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Can I
Yeah.
slap you? And
You
then
know, that's a
what
common thing, though. That whole back and forth.
it
I've
is.
seen that in a lot of movies of that era.
And with someone who's that well off too, it's you can
Hmm.
almost guarantee it was his upbringing too.
Right.
Then we get the guy who played the principal on Ferris Bueller and Sinbad talking about here we go. We get
Your balls
ball
dirty?
humor.
What?
I wash my balls religiously. I like them so clean you can just feel every dimple.
Thank you for sharing it with me.
The cleaner the ball, the better the play. especially when you pull out that wood. The quicker you get it in the hole with the least amount of strokes, the better, right?
Are you trying to tell me something?
Let me wash your balls for you.
Now, as long as I have the stick, you won't.
We'll wash them together.
Why don't you just chill out, okay?
I'll wash, you dry. Trust me, you get a lot more distance out.
Yeah, trust me, you about to get yourself hurt.
Come on, just unzip your bag and pull out your balls.
Hey,
Come on.
just back up.
All right, jeez. Sorry. Suit yourself.
Lovely. And
Dude, one of the funniest things. He said, "Let me take the balls, let me take your balls out of the bag and we'll hold them and wash them for you," or something. He says,
Yes.
I was like, did they really just say that? It was just so hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Dude is hilarious. I don't know.
was
I'm
hilarious.
sorry. I'm doing him an injustice. I don't know his name, but everything I see that guy in,
Jeffrey
he is
Johns,
hilarious.
I want to say.
He slowed up. You don't see him as much as you used to, but like that mid
No,
90s
no.
through the early 2000s, he was just in
Mm-hmm.
everything, and he always had small parts like this. I mean, good enough.
He was in
Right.
Beetlejuice too. So
Yeah.
and then the mobsters show up at the country club. So Kevin decides, let's play speed golf. This is almost like miniature golf, like miniature golf meets regular golf, where they're driving around as fast as they can on the golf cart and just getting out, hitting the balls, having a good time. You can tell these four men are having a legit good time right now.
Right. Like he
And
just
this is
made this up
probably
on the spot. Like this people, when you watch this movie, this goes to show you where confidence can get you in life. Because Sinbad is just confident enough to just say some bull. And look, these people are buying it. They're having a good time too.
yeah.
So he's pulling a this guy needs a dentist and he forgets he's a dentist. So it's back to his shtick of I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'll put it on you. So there's a little friendly competition between him and the guy that wanted to
Yeah.
handle his balls. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
because they're
because
both
he's also
dentists.
dentist. So I'm like going,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going, okay. They're both dentists, so it doesn't really matter in this aspect. And then they reminisce, like he puts the boss back to sleep, pulls out the tooth, is a hero in front of this class of dentist
right.
wannabes. And then
He
they
makes a
are
big
sitting
mistake
on
and he succeeds.
yeah,
Yeah,
he does.
the Novocaine. He washes his hands with Novocaine.
Yes.
That is a
Yeah.
big thing, guys. When you guys see that and he washes his hands, and his hands is, if you know what Novocaine is, it numbs you. So how are you going to do surgery with numb hands?
It does. Yeah, and the way he just shakes people's hands, he does the double. Hey, let's lift up the thing here, and he does the double tool thing, and it lifts up that way.
You got to feel your
But
tools.
with Kevin living here and doing all this lie, there's some good that comes out of it too.
Right.
He helps the kids achieve in their lives what they want from their parents. Jason, the oldest boy, the only boy in here, the middle child, wants to be good at basketball. He wants to play for the Bulls. Yes, this is the mid 90s, so the Bulls are, no matter where you're at, the Bulls are the team. Him and Sinbad at the park taking on the entire group with Make It
kids.
Take It. It was just, yeah. And they win.
Yeah. Right.
It was
Right.
just,
That was pretty fun.
but he teaches Jason how to stand up for himself and be confident in your abilities.
All five of them.
I really, really suck.
Let me tell you something right now. You do not suck. Never say that, okay? Basketball is up here, man. It's about confidence, all right? Now, I've watched you play in the driveway. You have game. Relax. Relax, okay? Stick your tongue out like Michael Jordan. Now, whose house is this? Put your tongue back in your mouth. Whose house is this? Say it like you mean it.
My house.
Whose ball is this?
My ball. My ball. My ball.
Let's go kick it. All right. I play much better when there's something at stake. So let's make a bet. If you guys win, we'll give you the red Volvo over there.
But that's my dad's car.
It's all right. And if we win, we get your clothes.
Our clothes?
Oh, he's a genius. He's the smart one. Okay. Oh, it's make it take it, which means if we score, we keep it. Check. We're ready. Chicago Bulls.
Really? Hey, come on, can we please have our clothes back?
Maybe a best out of 3.
And then we
Right.
go and he sees the oldest daughter, who's having a hard time with stuff. We meet her boyfriend, ST3, who's like a Vanilla Ice wannabe. Like he's trying to be hood in a
Right.
rich community and not working
Yeah.
at it at
He's
all.
a senator's son.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But she's into like Edgar Allan Poe and all these dead poets and everything. And he goes,
She's a goth.
"Listen,
Yeah.
she's a goth, and her parents just don't understand her. The kids grow fond of him. They enjoy having him around, and then he's
He teaches them a lot of lessons. He teaches the kid.
he does
Did we
how to
forget he
survive.
teaches them right? Not only basketball. That's taught Jason how to drive per se.
Yes. In another car scene where the
Right.
mobsters are chasing him, Jason drives and they track him down, and all of a sudden the kid looks out the window. What? And it's like okay. So it's like all these little things of that. And then when they find out his address, the mobsters show up, and this is where the youngest daughter, her time with Kevin, comes into play. And because she opens up the door, they ask for Kevin, and he's like, "There's no one here by that name." And she puts two and two together that Derek is really Kevin, but she doesn't tell anyone, which is
Right.
awesome. She
Yeah.
likes having him around because he's cool to be with. She's having fun with him. All the kids are having fun with him.
Right. Yeah, and that door
And
scene was hilarious to me. I don't want to give away too
yeah,
much. You guys will probably have fun with that
yeah,
scene, but her and her interaction with these
very
mobsters,
Home Alone esque.
which I think
Yes,
are the mobsters in this movie, guys. In my opinion, Sinbad is the man. He's a legend, but in this movie, the mobsters are the MVPs. They're the funniest thing in the movie.
correct. Being idiots. Yeah. The
Yeah.
Kevin tries to leave again, but he sees the Poseidon statue from the beginning of the movie and has a revelation. He goes, "I'm needed here," and he decides to stay. He helps Gary realize that his job isn't everything, that his family's more important. And that's where Sinbad excels in this, especially in this scene when he's with Gary and makes Phil Hartman realize that what you're doing is wrong. You don't want you feel conflicted already on taking this, and it made him think, "Oh yeah, you're right. I love my wife more than this."
Hmm.
So even you see Phil
I mean,
Hartman
he
growing
was
here because
conflicted
of
to
Sinbad.
to be fair. He was conflicted on doing the job, but he's I don't want to call him a pushover, but kind of that's what he is because his boss just pushes this on him and he goes through with it. I truly believe he thought he was going to figure a way to please both, and it just never happened.
Exactly. Well, because she said, because his wife even stated that, "Oh, I heard that your company is taking on this other my competition. Do you know who's doing the account?" And he's just dead silent. And she goes, "Is it your friend?" And he goes, "If it was your friend, you would know and you would tell me this." So it's like right then and there, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
and
then
not for nothing, I do like the wife. Another actress I don't
she,
see much anymore, but I used to see a lot during that time.
no, Derek. The real Derek is in his office back at his house and gets some paper clippings, especially the one that says "Hip Hop Dentist Talks at School Career Day," and he's like, "Oh, that's not me. Wait, that's the guy from the airport. What's going on here?" Like he puts two and two together, and it's like he flies over there and knows where this friend of his lives. If he knew where his friend lived, why didn't he just drive to his house to begin with from the airport?
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe
So
he really believed the story that Sinbad told him, so he didn't tend to
true.
go back. But
Well,
I
no, I
mean,
meant when he was there when he was first paging for Gary.
uh,
Why didn't he just drive
eh,
over there if he knew where he lived?
this
So
is very true. Maybe he looked him up. Maybe he looked him up where he lived, or he probably always has the address. Probably was a
maybe
gesture like, "Hey, you're coming all this way. I'll pick you up at the airport." So maybe it was something like this.
exactly.
And but it's so funny
The,
to see this guy's personality matched against Sinbad's. It's like they're just so totally opposite. But Sinbad was the type of personality that Phil
exactly.
Harmon's character really needed.
Yes. Yes, and when this all happens during this house scene, Phil Hartman realizes that. He goes, "I this Derek Bond guy I have, like, this is not me anymore. I'm not him.
Right.
I'm not this uptight. I'm not this stuck up. I'm not this way. Because of Kevin, he's changed. And they
Right.
realized when
Yeah.
Kevin's leaving, oh, wait, we actually like it here with him,
Right.
and they go after
They
him.
took that really
And,
well. I gotta say, they
yeah,
didn't they weren't
yeah,
they were shocked for a second. They didn't care.
yeah.
They didn't, oh, you betrayed me. You know how, oh, you lied to us. They didn't pull the classic trope of that. They were like, they took that
Well,
well, and
did they mention you lied to us? Yeah, I did. It's kind of like you see some just kind of like shying back and going, "Yeah, I'm sorry," type of thing.
yeah,
But
but
then,
they didn't really care. Like the kids were just looking like, okay,
no,
like
yeah,
in the Phil Hartman's character, he's like, once Sinbad is gone, he's just like, it's funny to me because he's just like, that's my best friend and I gotta go to. It's like you just realize you just met this guy,
yeah,
right? But that's
yeah.
hilarious.
That and then they escape during the 5K, and he's like, and all the shortcuts Phil Hartman's character knows and everything.
Right,
Winning in the,
right,
they realized that they all needed each other, which was awesome.
right.
Kevin needed them, and they needed Kevin in their life. Well, Kevin ends up winning the 5K with Gary, and
And they piss off the other dentist, the rival dentist in this
yes,
movie because
yeah,
he's been training and this has been his whole thing running this 5K. So that's a nice little play into it.
and
Also, too, during this whole time, we get some car action again and we get the mobsters
yeah,
chasing them through the race.
yeah, and because they're going in, because then he realizes he has this ticket that it was a winner for the big spin of the lottery. He gives it to the mobsters, and they're all happy that they can finally get their money, maybe millions. Um, and then we go and see it on the TV the next day. It gets spins, he lands on the millions, and that's like, ooh, 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 that sucks, because that could have been me. Then all of a sudden the wheel moves and it lands to 5K. It's like the mobster's like happy. The head guy attacks the other two because they were idiots for giving him the ticket, and Sinbad just starts laughing hysterically. And we find out he's a best-selling author now on a book
Right?
called How to Be a House Guest.
Hmm.
So, and pretty much faking it to be a real house guest. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we grilling outside and singing weird campfire songs, like food songs, to Christmas music, to
Right.
Christmas songs. Yes.
Yeah. That was something
And then
we talked about earlier. You said the camp songs they sing in this movie are in the same tune of Christmas song.
yeah, oh maple tree, oh maplewood, oh maplewood. It's like, oh Christmas tree. It's like, really? Really? And you can tell there's like, we need to come up with a camp song, and Phil Hartman's like right there on the spot. Here we go. And you could just like, yeah, we'll keep that one in. And so it was like a recurring theme until you get to the end. And even during the credits, the end
Hmm.
credit scenes that they have, they're doing the same shtick that they were doing
So
at the grill. And it's just
here's the $1 million
hilarious.
question, Ben. Is this a Christmas movie?
I mean, it ends with Christmas. They're celebrating Christmas at the end.
I mean, they do sing Christmas tunes all the way through the credits.
Yeah, they do. And Phil Hartman sings, like I said, "Oh Maplewood" to the tune of "Oh Christmas Tree" throughout the movie. Is it a Christmas movie? It's as
Nah,
much of a
but
Christmas
it's an
movie.
honorable
No,
mention.
it's not. It is. It's an honorable mention for a Christmas movie. Yeah, it's not as big of a Christmas movie as the other Phil Hartman and Sinbad Christmas movie, Jingle All the
which
Way. Yeah,
which is funny, Ben, because I think Phil Hartman is way better in that movie, but they didn't share him and Sinbad didn't share any time together on in screen time on that movie, but like they did in this one. If you guys don't know, the movie
not
is
at
Jingle
all.
All the Way.
So, Cal, last question: should this movie be forgotten? Is this a movie that needs to be re-released on Blu-ray or 4K, or should it remain in the annals forgotten films because it's on DVD
I
and
won't give you the
VHS?
long I won't give you the long answer and I won't give you the short answer. So here's my take. I
Okay.
while
Okay.
watching this movie, I never seen it, so this is a first time watch. I had a lot of fun with it. It was nice to reminisce. I might be a little biased because a lot of the scenery I know, I know. So like a lot of that helps. I've seen Phil Hartman in better form, should I say? I've seen Sinbad in better form. So the The funny thing is the things that are funny in this movie are more funny for me than the things that are supposed to be funny. Other than the dinner scene, I think the stuff that happens in this movie may be more funny than the parts that are supposed to be hilarious. Um, Not for nothing, the movie is still a good movie, and of course, it should never be forgotten because you have a legendary Sinbad, and you have somebody who was awesome, who was cut down in the prime of his career, Phil Hartman. So there's no way this movie should be forgotten. Is it Sinbad's best? No, but it's very fun. Depending on what type of person you are and what kind of comedy you like, this can hit you either way. It's definitely not a bad film. Should never be forgotten. I hope you guys remember it well and go check it out.
Yeah, that's the point of rewind here. Is if it's a movie you've never heard of, go check it out. See for yourself if it's something you want to have in your collection or not, or if it's something you just want to see on streaming for $3.99, because it's on YouTube for $3.99 if you want to really watch it. So I want to say thank you, Cal, for
Or
joining me
DVD.
on this first episode,
Oh man, it
or
was my
DVD,
pleasure.
yes, or VHS.
It was my
Oh,
pleasure. I know this is something you've been working on for a while, and I'm glad you got to put it into fruition. So, always pleased to
yeah,
be your co-host. We are the Super Sons. Like, if you guys don't know who that is, look into who the Super Sons are. So that's us. But whenever we come together, it's always fun. It's always good.
it is.
Watch the movies, people. We
It
need we
is.
need to collecting movies is great, people, but movies.
Not only remember to talk about them, watch them, but remember to be kind and rewind.